Hello everybody, this is Cool Quip. Sorry if I'm pretty quiet, it's rather late here, and I'm sitting outside. I don't sound like there's too much background noise that will be picked up, I hope not. I know there's some barking in the background of this video, I apologize. I know it might seem really soon to be making a second video, especially considering I don't have many views on my first and it's only been 2 days, but I could use the practice. These are very, very humble beginnings, the humblest of beginnings. I realized last time I mumbled a lot. I'm going to try to work on that. Enunciating, I'll try and do. I always have a problem mumbling. I thought I'd discuss some TNA. Seeing as I discussed WWE, I might as well discuss, number two, TNA. I've watched TNA for a number of years. There's always people who are like, for some reason, I guess because WCW, Monday Night Wars or whatever, people think you have to choose a side. I like whatever's good. I think choosing WWE just because it's WWE is an asinine way of thinking. If WWE sucks, it sucks. It doesn't matter if it's WWE. TNA sucks, it sucks. If Ring of Honor sucks, it sucks. And same goes for all of them if they are good. If TNA is good, it's good. If WWE is good, it's good. I'm sure some of you are saying, well, no shit, but there are a lot of people on the internet who seem to think that way, and I'm not one of them. At least I don't like to think I am. So yeah, I figured I'd talk about the Bound for Glory series and TNA's current direction. Unfortunately, TNA of late has not really been as good. Don't get me wrong; it's not nearly as bad as it was in, the Vince Russo age. When Hogan, Bischoff, and Russo were all running the show when they first came into, I'd say, I don't want to say when Austin Aries, so I guess about 2012. Yeah, 2012 is when it started to get better. 2012 at points it was really good, and even points in 2013 it was pretty good. Or it's been pretty good. But of late, they've really seemed to lost the direction. A lot of releases happening, have people questioning the financial stability of the company and whether Panda Energy is going to pull out or even try to sell. Personally, I kind of thought people were overreacting because TNA's released a lot of people before, but then they released Brooke Hogan, which blew my mind. I mean, that's Hulk Hogan's daughter. And Hogan obviously has a very big backstage political pull. I doubt he suggested it. I doubt he was fond of the move. I personally think it's the smart move, especially considering how much she was probably paid for how much she actually did. But it does kind of make you question like I said, the financial health of the company and the status. Yeah, and plus they really dropped the ball with the Bound for Glory series. Much like I keep bringing him up, but NYG fan for life, or NYG for life. I'm a very big believer in that pro wrestling, especially in the modern age, should have more of a sports feel to it, and the Bound for Glory series has that, and it's different. It's not TNA trying to rip off something like the Royal Rumble. I know a lot of people don't like it. Some people feel it's too complicated. It's only complicated when TNA fucks it up. Like the first year, and this year TNA really fucked it up. Is it that hard? And Dave Lagana said on Twitter, it wasn't supposed to be round robin. It really should be. It's a good way to make sure everyone has the same matches. Is it that hard to plan out a round robin tournament? There's for free online schedule makers that, little leagues use. You could just type in all the guys' names and then, base the schedule around that if you really want to. And, and obviously, maybe you don't want 6 matches per Impact. Put someone house shows. Who wants to see Joe Park versus Jay Bradley anyway? I mean, yeah, so they kind of dropped the ball. I heard something like they only got through half the tournament. I don't even know how they managed that one. So yeah, I'm going to discuss this week's episode of Impact. It was really good. No Surrender. It was actually really good, especially during the program recently on the wrestling side. The booking side, not as shaky as it's been, and like I said, I, it's not good necessarily lately, but and maybe I'm grading on a curve because TNA was so bad. But like I said, go back and watch 20. Actually, don't go back and watch 2010 Impact. Just know it was worse, much worse. So taking a look, I got my notes here. Read my notes verbatim. Um, kind of skimmed through the show. I didn't watch the whole thing. I have school Thursday nights. I have class. So I don't see it live. And actually, at the time Impact was on, I was watching a fantastic movie, Good Night and Good Luck. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Directed by George Clooney, about Edward R. Murrow and Joseph McCarthy. Anyway, it's a very good movie. Definitely recommend it. I've been wanting to see it for a long time. I'm glad we watched it in that class, and I probably will see it again. I'll recommend it to a lot of people. Back on topic though. The show had a very good opening. I thought a lot of times TNA, especially early years, had a lot of problem catching the gravity of a situation, making you feel like this is a big event. They did a really good job with it. The opening package was really good, highlighting all four guys: Rude, Aries, Magnus, and Styles. Very well. Made it seem like a big deal. This felt really big. It felt like all their playoffs. It is. Um, so that was really well done. I applaud them for that. So yeah, like I said, I'm only going to cover the important stuff on Impact because, like I said, my last video was 52 minutes, and that was covering a show that hadn't even happened yet. So I'm going to try to cut down on that. I tend to ramble. I've already been rambling for 7 minutes. Sorry. Aries versus AJ. Good match. Not as good as their match a few weeks ago, but this one had a really good finish, which was actually the problem with the match a few weeks ago, where the finish was really bad. This finish was really good. Great finishing sequence. That reverse styles clash was really good. Albeit kind of scary because if he fucked up, he could have really hurt Aries bad. But AJ is very good. Austin Aries is obviously very good. They had a very good match. By no means was this a bad match. I just don't feel it was as good as the match a few weeks ago. I'll talk more about AJ and his character and that tweener role. I'll talk about that later when I get to the main event. So, hype. Or teaser. Stay tuned. Yeah, so, Rude Magnus was also very good. Kind of weird ending with the jackknife pin out of nowhere. But I figured listen, most people, spoilers, but most people knew AJ Styles was winning the BFG series, and most people would have told you that the final, and it should be, would be Magnus and Styles, considering Magnus dominated the competition, the tournament, and Styles is the guy who's going to win, obviously. So yeah, that was all very good. The match was pretty good, like I said, pretty good. Robert Roode did a really good job of, excuse me. Sorry. Robert Roode did a very good job, and it's something WWE, there's particularly John Cena, they really don't do well. Selling this like it's a big loss. My God. Oh my God. I'm out of the main event of Bound for Glory. Huge. And Magnus actually did better later. Again, I'll get to that later. But too often in WWE, especially, we see like dudes get eliminated from the Rumble, and they just kind of walk to the back. And then of course you have the Elimination Chamber too, so you got another opportunity. Robert Roode, you kind of felt the gravity of the situation. He's out, and he's upset about that, like any character in this universe should be. The ultimate goal is the TNA World Title, and the best place to win it would be Bound for Glory. And so I mean, this really goes without saying. Obviously, it probably sounds pretty stupid, but WWE has had a lot of trouble. TNA has had a lot of trouble capturing that, but they did good. And in fact, a lot of the Bound for Glory series, I feel like really felt kind of like filler. I mean, Jay Bradley was in the tournament, but Kurt Angle wasn't. I don't know, but oh yeah, Kurt Angle's going to the Hall of Fame, huh? I completely forgot about that. Anyway, off topic, but just popped in my mind. The other third of the four matches, I think there was only four, but they were all very good and very big. Bully versus Anderson. Now, I kind of felt like they really rushed the Anderson turn. Uh, that said, I've never been a fan of the guy. I know I shouldn't generalize, but in general, the IWC really got behind him. His ring work sucked a lot of the time, I thought, and his promos were kind of overrated, especially when that first run he had TNA where he was calling people assholes, and he was trying to be Stone Cold, or what he thought was Stone Cold, and it failed really bad. But with that said, he captured, and I'm not even sure if he realizes what was good about Stone Cold in this match. It was very good, probably one of Anderson's best performances. This is not a guy who's had a lot of good performances in his career. I remember a match with Shawn Michaels on Robert. You could just see Shawn. Like, if this were the same Shawn that had, stomped on Vader and told him, move. I'm pretty sure Anderson's nose would have been broken or something. Or they would have gotten a real brawl because Michaels was clearly hurt by, not even hurt, he was pissed by how bad Kennedy at the time was in that match. And he's improved. I knew that before. He's improved. Yeah, definitely his best match since the Angle Anderson match back in 2010 at Lockdown. So should tell you. Granted, he hasn't had a lot of big matches since then. I guess he won the world title twice, but that was when TNA was maybe at its worst period, and it wasn't his fault. It was writing. Anyway, this was a very good match. Bully Ray is a great heel, top 5 heel in the business right now. Top 5, let's see, no particular order. Heyman, Bully Ray, I guess the Triple H and Orton, and then I'll go with Ego. Just put him, Bobby Roode and Bad Influence. Put him in one group. I'd say that those are the 5 best heels, real quick. So yeah, Bully Ray won, rightfully so. Kind of stupid that they gave him Aces gave him a triple powerbomb. Like, I mean, that's just common sense. I mean, why would you? People see that move now and they only think of 3 guys, and it ain't the dudes and Aces and Eights. It's the Shield. So, kind of made you look Bush League there, but TNA's done that before. I don't know why, but yeah. So, a few little nitpicks though. And this isn't the guy's fault at all. They were in St. Louis, and I'm really anal about this stuff, so forgive me, but Taz said something like, Bully Ray at the finish, he speared Anderson through a table. And he said, like, hey, it's a Jack Youngblood. Jack Youngblood's a Hall of Fame defensive lineman. And so, yeah, that would fit, and he played for the Rams, which is why Taz brought him up. But what Taz failed to mention is these were not the St. Louis Rams. These were the Los Angeles Rams. They were the St. Louis's team was the St. Louis Cardinals at the time. So, nitpick, but I don't know why that bothered me. Again, I'm petty. Trying to shoot this so you don't see my chins. Too much. Sorry. TNA always does this too. They have a tendency to come off as rinky-dink, especially the director when he's getting shots of. And I don't know how this dude hasn't learned. He still sometimes gets shots of dudes up close when they're bleeding, which is, I don't know. I think this dude was working for WCW before, so I don't know how you still fuck up after all this. Or even when he's employed. But then again, Dixie Carter kept Vince Russo employed for so long. Anyway, but this isn't the director's fault. The stupid EMT dudes they got, I'm gonna hope they're actors for the safety of whoever they have the treat. They put Anderson on the stretcher, and they try to. I'm just not thinking about it. They try to fit him between the second and third rope and onto the stretcher. And finally, I don't know which one. One of them just goes, okay, put him down and slide him under. Even Taz is like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit. That's just, if I ever, God forbid I ever have a heart attack at Universal Studios and one of them has to load me up because I'm certain, A, they didn't look particularly strong and I'm a heavy set fellow, and B, they don't look, obviously they're not coordinated or apparently very smart, so I have no doubt they'd drop me right on my face. Anyway, Bully Ray ended up pile driving him. Anderson, he knocked him off the stretcher and gave him a pile driver on the stage. So, injury angle gives Bully Ray more heat. That never hurts. Like I said, the whole turn was a bit rushed, but to be honest, I didn't really want to see a long Anderson-Bully Ray feud. It was good for what it was, and that's all I got to say about that. So, okay, after this, and this kind of put it in perspective for me, they had like a Gunstorm promo, the tag team champions. Holy shit, they were the tag team champions. I fucking forgot totally. Poor James Storm. God, I feel for this guy. Last year, I swore he was on his way to being the top babyface in the company. He was having great promos. He had some very good matches. They were building him up great, and then kind of all went awry when they gave Aries the title. And at the time, I was supportive of it. I'm like, Aries is really hot right now. Why not give him the belt? And well, I don't think they should have done what they did with Chris Sabin. And by the way, Chris Sabin, man, he's also on that same boat. Chris Sabin, I don't even think was on this show. Just, man, they dropped the ball. His title reign was completely pointless, and I probably would have just kept the title on Bully Ray. I mean, the only excuse I've heard is, well, Sabin tore to ACL. He's been in the company for 8 years. Okay. I applaud him for coming back. I like Chris Sabin, don't get me wrong, I really do. But really, should you really be giving a guy the belt just because of that? I mean, and I shouldn't say just because of that, but you gotta, this is a business. Just do the right storyline. Keep the belt on Bully Ray. In fact, I think Sabin looked worse when he won the title. He was clearly not in Bully Ray's league. In fact, that first title match, I think he got a missile drop kick. And they hit him with the hammer. That was his entire offense. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was all he got. And then he had pretty much a joke title reign. They reminded us, Bully Ray always reminded us it was a joke title reign. He lost the title a month later. I don't even think he had another defense. I think he defended against Manic, TJ Perkins, which that's a really stupid gimmick. Why have a mask if you're just not going to wear it? Even more so, why have the mask on hand when you're not going to wrestle tonight like he did on Impact? Anyway, I keep digressing, but I digress. So yeah, Sabin's title reign was really pointless. The only good thing that comes out of it really is that the X Division, what they call it, Stipulation C, or Option C, I think they called it with Aries. Right now they're 2-0 with the World House, so you can build that up and build interest in that to say, oh, whoever wins the X Division title at this time has a big chance. That's good, but other than that, it was really bad. So back on James Storm. James Storm also had a 2-week title reign. His might have been even worse, which I was fine with because it looked like they were building to Bobby Roode versus James Storm, and a lot of people were pissed that James Storm didn't win in lockdown. Again, I was fine with this as long as he won at Bound for Glory. Then they had, what happened? Oh, James Storm, he had a great Bound for Glory series. They were building him up great. And like I said, Aries won the title, kind of put a wrench in things. And then they had Jeff Hardy win the Bound for Glory series, which would have worked if they'd built it up as, like, Jeff's redemption from, the Victory Road incident, or Jeff's redemption in general, because they started with that, and then they They didn't really bring it up. I thought that was worth the storyline, but they didn't bring it up. In fact, Jeff Hardy was pretty much a red herring. He was just a fourth. Really, when I thought about it, who was it that year? It was Storm, Bully Ray, Jeff Hardy, obviously, and Samoa Joe. I honestly thought Jeff Hardy had the least chance of winning. What an idiot I am. They had Anderson lose the match after, or not James Storm. They had him lose the match after Bobby Roode cost him, which I was fine with. And then they had Jeff Hardy win, which I thought was stupid because you got Austin Aries as a face and Bully Ray instead as a heel. Well, he wasn't a heel; he turned face. Anyway, getting off topic. So yeah, this poor fucker. And then he beat Bobby Roode in an awesome match at Bound for Glory. And then he had that triple threat win. I'm like, Jeff Hardy versus James Storm. That sounds like a money match. And that triple threat match, which ironically set up AJ Styles on his path, I thought that was really smart. You set up AJ Styles and you set up James Storm. You set up two characters on two different paths. And even you can use Bobby Roode. And then they had James Storm just drop the title shot to Bobby Roode on Impact. The excuse I heard was, well, you wanted to make the fans think Jeff Hardy later that night wouldn't retain because James Storm won. I'm like, or no, if Bobby Roode had won that match, and this is way back, I probably shouldn't criticize it, but Bobby Roode had won that match. The argument was, well, people would know Jeff Hardy was winning. Stupid. And why not just have James Storm? Bobby Roode just came off a big loss at the street fight. Just have Storm versus Hardy. I thought that would be a fine match. Anyway, point is, James Storm has really fallen off. I feel for the guy. He's very talented. One of the better face promos in any company right now, I'd say. And now he's stuck in a tag team with Gunner, who's the only thing I like about him is the name of his finisher, the Gun Rack, which I have to admit is kind of cool name for the finish. Other than that, no. And now he's feuding with Chavo and Hernandez, who aren't the worst team I've ever seen in terms of teams put together because of race. But I mean, I think Kofi Kingston and R-Truth's up there for that distinction. I think they tried to make MVP and JTG a tag team once. Yeah, no. Anyway, so he has nothing to do. He wasn't even in the Bound for Glory series this year. Granted, he was hurt, but it just really sucks for the guy. So yeah, hopefully one day they go back because I think he is world championship material. Yeah, so in a lot of ways you could blame Hulk Hogan because Bobby Roode's clearly going to win the title Bound for Glory and he's going to stand up for a big James. And I think James Storm was supposed to be the heel. Anyway, now I'm going 2 years back. So before I go too far off, okay, they wrote off Rampage and Tito in the funniest way possible. First off, I was fine with Rampage coming in. That first week, I thought the segment that he did with Angle was really good. I was a guy back in when I saw his stuff with Rashad and even some of Rampage stuff with In Pride. I thought, yes, this guy would be perfect for pro wrestling. I remember, I think it was actually the Raw where Nexus attacked the first time. They had the A-Team guys there, and I was really excited. Like, okay, Rampage is going to be there. And other than delivering an awesome spinebuster, he did stupid shit. Granted, it was I actually kind of laughed at how stupid it was, but he did goofy comedy. So I was actually, I mean, he's past his prime in both MMA and probably pro. Well, he never had prime for wrestling, but he passed his prime. But I was still kind of excited when I'm like, okay, TNA's got this guy. He's obviously big. He got good reaction from the Impact Zone when Borat announced him. And then Bam joined the Mayhem Mafia, which made him seem like just another guy. His debut match, I think, was in that tag match a few weeks ago, so just another guy. He's clearly not trained. Okay, Minoru Suzuki, Josh Barnett, obviously Brock Lesnar. These dudes have done MMA, but they're trained in pro wrestling, so they can implement it. You can't just put Rampage in there. And the funny thing is, for a fighter, the dude's work punches are terrible. I'm not saying he should just go in there and kill dudes, but the dude, they're terrible. He looked awful in the ring, very clunky and awkward. And then Tito was even worse. First off, I think it was August 2nd, the big August 2nd reveal. I didn't even know that was. Granted, I'm considered. I would probably be considered by some as a member of the IWC. I didn't know about this damn surprise. It's like, oh man, the big August 2nd surprise, man, is revealed. I'm like, August, what? When was this? They announced it on Twitter or something? Sorry about that. Um, so yeah, that was really weird. And then, he came out and nobody recognized who he was. And I can't blame them. Do they not realize their audience? It's mostly pro wrestling and not much MMA fans. And to be honest, I won't say I'm a hardcore MMA follower, but I'd say I'm a bit above casual level. I probably wouldn't have recognized him from my seat in the stands. I'd be like, I think that's low key. Like, what the fuck is that? I mean, he got no less than a lackluster reaction. He got zero reaction when he came out, and that just came off really bad. And then it was weird because Rampage and Tito are gonna fight at Bellator's first pay-per-view, which I'm not ordering, but and they used okay, I've heard Chael Sonnen say I use pro wrestling to build my fights. I use promos and stuff. If you watch Chael Sonnen, he does. They were using like I was kind of wondering, I'm like, so is Bellator gonna play promo videos for Tito Ortiz hitting Rampage Jackson with a hammer and joining Aces and Eights and costing Chris Sabin the title? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it was really weird. So yeah, so basically on Impact, they just Dixie came in and said, "I know you guys are these guys, but no." Bellator's axed it, so Hogan basically said, "All right, brother." He didn't care. And yeah, sure, it's a shitty way to write them up, but they're shitty characters. It was a fail. Um, NYG for Life, I was watching his videos, and he was pointing out that, what was he pointing out? Oh, that they tried a lot of MMA guys. They tried Frank Trigg, which I remembered. They actually tried Tito. Well, they tried Tito as a ref before. I think that worked all right. I forgot they tried Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was in TNA. I completely forgot. I actually remember it now. That he was, I don't know, one of his promos was dedicated to how he wanted to fight with Brock Lesnar. Let alone he was in TNA. He was not in UFC. He was barely doing MMA at the time. And Brock Lesnar, as you know, is not in TNA. So, anyway, that's my background. Point is, WWE found an MMA fighter in Brock Lesnar. And granted, dude knew how to wrestle way before he knew it was in the UFC. And they know how to use him. Even though, well, that's debatable. They had him lose to they had him lose to Cena last night, and they had him lose to Hunter at Mania. But other than that, they know how to use it. TNA doesn't, and hopefully they do. Hopefully Rampage gets some pro wrestling training. Hopefully he's willing to go through pro wrestling training, and he comes back. He doesn't need to be on my TV for the next few months, at least in a wrestling sense. So yeah, and Tito, what can we say about Tito? Dude was basically bully raised bitch on TV, which was another odd thing. Let's see. So Magnus and AJ main event, really good. Magnus, I really like Magnus. I think he has very high potential. Remember when I said in the last video, Big E has star charisma, is with main event charisma. He just knows how to carry himself like a big superstar. Obviously, TNA recognizes this. They have him in the main event mafia, and this is, I know the internet. Again, sorry to John. They have a tendency to get behind a guy just because he's new. I can see why people who might think that of me, especially when I'm saying things about guys that a lot of people don't like, Big E Langston, or well, I don't know how many people really like Big E Langston or Magnus, but I really do think Magnus is very good. His ring work is solid at best, probably, but he does know how to carry himself. He's not bad on the mic. When you see him next to a guy like Sting or Kurt Angle or Samoa Joe or even Rampage Jackson, he fits. He seems like Like, if I'm flipping through the channels, I think this guy's a main eventer, and he proved it. He had a very good match with AJ Styles, which obviously isn't the hardest thing to do, but it came off as big. Um, it came off like the finals of a big tournament, and AJ won with a spiral tap, good finish. And Magnus afterward was awesome. There's a positive and a negative to what happened afterwards, but anyway, he looked like he was about to cry, and you felt the emotion, and it felt big that he lost. You realized he put his heart into it, and he just came up a bit short against AJ. So where this goes from here, I don't know. I hope it's not main event Mafia for Aces and Eights at Bound for Glory. I really don't. Hopefully they take the goodwill of the show and move it forward, but the show really should have ended with AJ celebrating, and that would have made it look, like I said, big. I keep saying that word. It feels big. They didn't end there. They ended with a very strange promo, even for me. I guess a shoot promo. No, it's not as bad as the one he had 2 weeks ago. I'll get into that in a moment. With AJ calling out Dixie Carter, I think, looking at spoilers, the idea is that AJ Styles is not under contract with TNA. Or something like that, based off a real life report that AJ's contract is coming to an end and he might sign somewhere else, which now that they're doing this angle, I doubt will happen. Anyway, a few things about AJ. AJ, he's a dude who I really think should have been the face of the company, and not just because he's a high player. And he's awesome. He's very good in the ring. Obviously, this is not news. But he's very popular. He's very recognized. For a TNA original, he's probably the most recognized guy that TNA made. By which I mean, back in I think before Angle was there, people would know very little about TNA, and this is numerous. I found kids, I found casual fans. I talked to them, and sometimes I bring up TNA, and they know who AJ Styles was. And I thought they really should capitalize. I knew people who didn't know who Jeff Jarrett was, but knew who AJ Styles was. Now, they really should capitalize. Some people call him their own John Cena, and not John Cena in the sense that he's a top face, not that he's a boring baby face. I thought they really could have used that. And like I said, I'm not the coolest cat around, but AJ Styles is a kind of cool name. I think when I was a kid, well, let's see, I first heard Styles I searched it on the internet in '05. Let's see, that's about 7 years ago. I'm 19 now. So I was 12. I thought that was a cool name, and I showed my brother him. He was 10 at the time, and he was like, "Man, this guy's awesome." I was watching the stuff with him, and in 2009, it seemed like he was going to they were finally going to go with him. And Hogan came in, and you know the rest. So now it seems like they're going with him again. As soon as he lost that match, I started thinking, okay, they can do this, and they were doing okay. The tweener gimmick is a really mixed thing. They did a lot of stuff bad. They tried to do Sting, and I don't know. It just didn't work. It didn't click. Sometimes that happens. I understand. Then they had him in that match with Aces and Eights in the main event Mafia when he came out. When his music hit, man, that was awesome. I showed my brother's. He's not much into pro. He's into. This sounds stupid. He's into pro wrestling when it's really good. I showed it when we watched SummerSlam together. He was really into that because he liked Lesnar and Punk was really good, and Bryan Cena obviously both matches were really good. He was really into that. But when it's mediocre, he can give two shits about it. He thought that the return of AJ was awesome. I did too when the music hit and everything. I mean, yeah, that's goofy pro wrestling, but it works sometimes. And I thought it worked there. So I'm like, okay, they've actually salvaged the storyline pretty good. And then they had him cut the shoot promo. I'm not going to go into detail. Many of you heard it all right. I'll just say that. Sorry about that. Don't know what the fuck that was. Anyway, so yeah, he, what WWE and TNA don't get about the CM Punk promo is the first one in Las Vegas, the pipe bomb. was that it wasn't big because it was a shoot promo. Well, because he name dropped Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Colt Cabana, New Japan, or ROH. It was big because he was voicing legitimate gripes that a lot of fans had with the company for a long time, and it seems like WWE would try to cover up. Cena and like John Cena did come off like a kiss ass who was just a company promo, a walking billboard for the company. A lot of time people did feel CM Punk was underrated. I did too. And it was awesome when AJ Styles comes out, basically bitches. Nobody knows this stuff. TNA, I was hoping once they got rid of Vince Russo, they'd realize this. The majority of their fan base does not go on the internet and read everything about TNA. They had no idea. Proof, when AJ Styles said something, the only person I can trust is Alan Jones. The reaction that got. Okay, there's a cricket chirping in the background. That would be perfect if that got caught. Anyway, um, that was the reaction they got. Why? No one knows who the fuck Alan Jones is. Alan Jones is AJ Styles' real name. People didn't know that. Most people don't know that. Even some in the IWC probably don't know that. So yeah, and he was bitching and moaning, and then all of a sudden, it's supposed to be they realized, I believe anyway, it's supposed to be they realized, oh, I'm gonna fight for TNA anyway, or something like that. So he decides he's gonna win the Bound for Glory series. Then he cuts this promo tonight, saying something about Dixie, and from what I heard last, it sounds like they're gonna go with a heel Dixie, which I don't even get how that works with the storyline. And again, I didn't see it, so I don't know, but the dynamic sounds like they're setting up is heel Dixie Carter versus babyface rebel AJ Styles. Now that could work. It's working in WWE right now, but it is still kind of weird when you consider last year both her, and AJ were helping a druggie. But whatever. I can forget the Claire Lynch storyline. I'd like to forget the Claire Lynch storyline. Anyway, so Dixie's the authority figure versus rebel AJ Styles babyface. Aces and Eights hate TNA too. So you got the rebel heel stable versus the maybe tweener owner versus the babyface rebel. What conflict do Aces and Eights and AJ Styles have? Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read the stars wrong. Maybe it is that AJ's fighting for TNA because this is the company he built. That's a fine storyline. Why do you have to put this contract in? In fact, they could have, again, they almost salvaged it a few weeks ago when they had AJ, when they had him go back to the phenomenal AJ Styles. They could have said, oh, he realized his roots. He realized this TNA made him. He fights for TNA, even when TNA sometimes won't fight for him. He realized he built this company to what it is today in a lot of ways. Is that hard? I mean, do they have to do this stupid Dixie Carter triangle bullshit? And again, I'm happy they're not doing, at least, for all I know, they still are, but it looks like they're not doing Bully Ray versus Hulk Hogan. Thank God that's not happening. But now you got this stupid Dixie thing, and I don't know. Maybe it'll come off better on TV, but to me, it just sounds stupid. So I've gone for 38 minutes. That's about 20 minutes more than I intend to. Actually, there might be about 28 more minutes than I intended to. Sorry, this thing's gonna be a bitch to render. I'll try to get it up. I appreciate once again for you giving me your time. Hopefully I don't sound too bad. I was talking pretty quiet. I'll try just that final. Or Sony Vegas. Um, Again, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you to NYG for life. He says he's gonna plug me in one of his videos. I appreciate that. He certainly doesn't have to do that. And again, I really appreciate that. Any feedback's appreciated. And if I suck, tell me I suck. Like I said, I'll try to improve. If you agree with my opinions, thank you. If you disagree, please be an adult about it. But give me counter arguments. Like I said, I'm open to opinion. Maybe there's a view on maybe you like the AJ Styles storyline. Maybe there's a element I missed. Please tell me. So thank you and good luck and good night.